Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, ho, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another week of the RGM podcast, the RGM Experience podcast with me, Carl Malone, and I'm back with a familiar face to RGM, Aaron from Slow Readers Club. Morning, mate.
Morning, Carl. How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. So it's just you sat in your shrine to Slow Readers Club this
Yeah, yeah.
morning.
Yeah, look, there's the bullet.
Oh,
If you
they're
go
all
for
there.
I'll tilt you back.
And,
There's posters all over the house as well. I must be a bit of an egotist.
have you kept throughout the years of the band and that kind of stuff?
Not
Have you got like a
exhaustively. I've not kept
right, clipping?
every venue we've ever played.
What about like press
Yeah,
clippings and that kind of stuff?
the big ones. Yeah, I've got some stuff under the bed.
Must be nice.
Might interest the kids one day.
Fair enough. But yeah, over the years we've had chats. I think we first started the journey covering the band when we drove around Manchester that time in my little electric car. We've had chats with you since. Yeah, man, we've had chats with you. It's all on YouTube, guys. If you're listening to it and you want to revisit it, you've had the Apollo gig. We covered you at that. We had a chat just before lockdown when the joy of the return were coming out, and then we had a chat again in lockdown when you brought an album out in lockdown, the 91 days of isolation thing. So you've kept yourself busy over lockdown, didn't you, mate? You had to really, change things around a little bit to survive.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, we had a Patreon and stuff like that, and thank you to all the fans that supported us through that period from using that. But yeah, it was we had a top 10 record, number 9 with Joy of the Return, but couldn't tour it, unfortunately. So that was a blow. But then everybody was going through such turmoil at the time. Everybody was affected by it, weren't they? So I mean, we dealt with it as best we could. We did some fun stuff on socials, did some streaming and streamed gigs and bits of lockdown videos where we filmed it, each individual part and stitched it together. They're still up on YouTube. They were all good, just to keep our heads sane. And yeah, we ended up writing and recording another record, and it was a different way of writing and recording for us because we all did it remotely, and Kurt had come up with a guitar part and send it over WhatsApp, and I'd sing a melody over it, and then David had put a drum beat to it, and Jim had put a bass line to it, or I'd start something on keys. But yeah, it was cool. Okay, we got different kind of material out of that as well. It was like stuff that wouldn't necessarily make it through the practice room scenario, because that tends to be stuff that's a bit more energetic and everybody's vibing off it kind of thing. Whereas the more chilled out stuff is harder to work in the practice room. So if you're going straight into Logic or whatever, that has more chance of still existing.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's good.
So what was the adjustment like to being back normal again? So like getting into rehearsal room and then getting
still getting there really.
Again.
Yeah, still getting there. It's weird. I think obviously we toured the end of last year, so that was really good getting back out in front of people, and you could tell that people had really missed it, and but it's probably maybe still a little nervous at that point. But yeah, that was just great to be back out doing gigs again, because there was a time when you're just thinking, is this ever going to end? Yeah. But
in what way were you nervous? In what way did you feel nervous about it? Was it just the social anxiety of being out with people?
The anxiety of being around people. Well, I was fairly blasé about it, probably, but there was other members of the band that were like more cautious about it than like David's a clean freak at the best of times, so he was probably the most nervous out of all of us. But and we'd normally, like, after shows, do loads of sign a lot of records, say hello to fans and all that kind of stuff. And we didn't do that on the last tour. We probably will on the next one, just because things feel a little bit safer. But yeah, and I didn't know. You just didn't know how the fans were going to be, how whether the vibe was going to be the same because of people's anxieties about it. But it was good, and it's certainly feels like the world feels a lot more normal now, thankfully, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I can imagine, like, because just the cost of one band member just getting COVID and like putting a kibosh on the rest of the tour must have been quite a stressful situation, like being back and trying to keep the train going type thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's I think that hit a lot of bands, didn't it? Yes. Or a crew member. It didn't have to be a band member. It can be a crew member, it can sort of derail things definitely. But
That's still the case now. So if somebody gets COVID within the team and you're going out on this new tour that will come up in a bit, is it still the case where everything's got to shut down? Or what? I don't know how it all works.
No, I'm blissfully unaware.
Yeah,
I'm not the tour manager, so
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you can, because there's no like rules anymore. I don't think, only in like doctors and stuff. I went for a B12 injection the other day and had to have my little mask on again, and I was just reminiscing about the days when I was looking on my phone and I couldn't read it because my glasses were all steaming up and stuff, and just reminiscing about the bad old days. As I can say about it now. But yeah, I'm just interested in knowing what it's going to be like from now with
I think it'll be. I think it feels like it's normal. There's a lot of tours going on. There's lots of huge shows going on. So it feels like. I mean, we might see a resurgence of it in the winter, but I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I don't imagine that we'll face restrictions or anything like that we had before. But
So the lads are all back to. So you're all back together again now. I presume you're all in a studio or in a rehearsal space quite a lot at the minute.
Yeah, we have obviously been rehearsing for the tour. We've been writing a new album that's done and dusted. Actually, we've got another album recorded that'll be out next year. So yeah, we have been productive this year. Been out touring. We were out with James at 2 arena shows in Portugal earlier this year, which was great to be back with those guys again.
Just hanging around on that one for a bit. So if anybody isn't aware of your relationship with James had a massive influence on getting the band out to bigger, wider audiences, didn't they? Because you've played with them a lot over the years. So just talk us about like your relationship with James.
The first, for those that don't know, the first we were aware that they knew we existed was when they tweeted about us. Jim Glennie from the band, the bass player, tweeted an acoustic version of I Saw a Ghost that we did on Twitter, and then we're like, wow, that's amazing. Totally, I'm full of admiration for James. From being a kid, I sang "Sit Down" at school and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the real heroes of ours. So it was that was an amazing moment in itself. And then we managed through a mutual friend, a guy called David Brown, who's writes sleeve notes and stuff like that, to get a CD to him. Got cavalcade to him with a little note saying, if you ever need a support band, we'd love to step in. And then they did. Fortunately for us, they were doing the Girl at the End of the World tour then, which I think was 2016, something like that. Wow. And so we played. We'd never really had any big support slots or any break really. We played festivals and things in Isle of Wight and for stuff, but not that. When a band's building, you need those kind of things to be going, to be getting out to more people. And that up until that point, it had eluded us really. But yeah, itself, and we didn't have management or agent or any of that kind of stuff in place at that time. So yeah, it was a bit of a steep learning curve getting there, not having any, not having a tour manager ourselves and all the stuff, or a crew. They were really good to us actually, James, and sort of they ferried our gear around. They got their sound guy to do sound for us and lighting guy to do he now tours with us, the sound guy that worked for us on that tour. He's now our sound guy, guy called Dougal. But yeah, so it's like that was really great, and like playing places like Brixton Academy, and Manchester Arena and stuff. It was absolutely incredible, and it gave us an audience around the UK. But yeah, kept in contact with them. Did a thing over the lockdown period with Saul from James, who's like violinist and guitarist. He along with Jim are probably the most vocal champions of us from the band. He was doing a thing called Music Feeds, this sort of online music festival, like loads of big names are involved in. So we contributed a performance to that, and it was in connection with the co-op. It's like food poverty charities. So that was cool. And then when we saw the Portugal shows, we're out there, and she said that we'd love to support you out there, and managed to sort that out as well. So that was really good. We played a place called Campo Pequeno, which is like a former bullfighting ring in, I think that was in Lisbon, and then Porto we played Super Boc Arena. Both were. I've still
got like as a music fan, when you grow up and you start watching bands and that, and you get excited about what it's like backstage at gigs and that kind of stuff. And then when I've been lucky enough to go to a few festivals, and it's just basically a few sandwiches and a portaloo, and it's a bit like,
Yeah.
Not that amazing, but I've still got. I've not been lucky enough to like be backstage at arenas and stuff and those type of gigs. Those still hold like a magical like vibe around my thoughts of what they're like behind stage at arenas. Tell me it's
Yeah.
like that, Aaron.
Well, you have your own dressing room. It's not
Yeah.
dissimilar to most venues. I mean, for bigger shows, there'll be a bit of an after show and stuff. Like like for James, like they would have the family there because it's like Manchester, sort of the main, where they come from, kind of thing. So there's a bit more of a vibe at those kind of shows. But when you're touring, generally, it's like you keep yourself to yourself for the most part. I mean, we did actually get up on stage. Me and Kurt got up on stage with Tim for sometimes at one of the shows, which was really cool. And so there is some interaction in that way. And
So it's just corridors and rooms then, really.
Yeah, it is. I'm afraid. Yeah.
Oh, where's the magic dust? I'm still thinking. Oh, okay. Yeah. I just think when you look at an arena, you just think that's the stage. It just must be mental behind there. But then,
I think it probably varies from band to band, to be honest with you.
Yes, fair enough.
Yeah. So
I can imagine.
We're fairly sensible, but I imagine it gets a bit raucous for other people. But yeah, I just pace around.
Okay, pick your coat out. Get yourself ready for it. Brilliant. So what were the actual shows like? What was it like performing to a Portuguese crowd then?
Really good, actually. I mean, I don't know. There's a James Facebook group, Portugal fans Facebook group, which I think people had championed us in because they'd obviously been aware of our association with the band. So like, it definitely felt, it was weird. We didn't know what to expect at all. But certainly the first time we played, when we played Porto, I was like, wow, they seem to know who we are, seem to know some of the tunes and seem to be into it. They were like full houses. So not that everybody in the room knew who we were, but there was a good portion, enough to make you feel comfortable, kind of thing. So it was really good. Certainly more than knew us the first time we played with James. So,
That's what it's all about, though, isn't it? If you just find another handful of fans here, another handful.
100%, yeah.
And going to see them again the next year after, and that.
Yeah, we're hoping to get back out to Brisbane next year.
Yeah, nice. Well, so what like inspires you now as a band? Like being is it 5 albums? I'm just counting up behind you, including the live on 6.
The next one will be our 6th. Yeah.
Okay. What's it like now? Now you mentioned you've got an album coming out next year that we'll just leave with you and look forward to the announcement of it. But what was it like? Getting back into it again and just writing another album this deep into your career?
Yeah, difficult. Yeah, it's we've leaned more into synths for this record, and we've worked with a different producer, so that will be different. And that in terms of the subject matter, it's less bleak necessarily than previous records, because I was like a bit indulgent to be bleak when the world's bleak. If you know what I mean.
Sure.
That's probably as much as I'll say about this point in time. But yeah, it's different. You've got to keep, there's no point putting the same record out again. So we have moved things along. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what's inspired me, listen to Sam Fender a lot over the last few years.
I've seen that on your socials.
Yeah, I loved him since the start. Like, I think I'd like to see him rise. I mean, he's very much in the sort of Springsteen sort of stadium tradition, isn't he? He's not sort of sort of a very sort of left field or anything. But I think he's a great songwriter, great lyricist.
Just the lyrics going under.
Incredible. I think it won an Ave Novella that as well. It's like that's like the top. I think he's the best artist out there at the moment. So he's been an inspiration, I suppose. I can't think of anybody else. Like, I just keep most of my mind is consumed with politics most of the time. So it's probably what occupies my thoughts most of the time. But
just because you mentioned it, are you excited about Liz Truss?
Dispassionately, I'm left leaning, but I'd hope she just sorts the shit out. I feel as though a little bit like we've been posted there. I think we've been almost in an abusive relationship over the last 6 weeks or whatever it has been, while they've been having this leadership contest, and the media has been sort of telling us every day that people are going to starve to death and things like that. That has been very concerning. I'd imagine that she'll freeze energy bills now, and then that will at least give her a bounce in the polls a little bit and stuff. But I would hope that we'll have a change in government in the near future. Well, I think she mentioned yesterday that it'd be 2024 or something when the next election is, if she doesn't feel there's a more advantageous time before that to call it. Hopefully we'll see a change in government. But
like, the cost of living is affecting everybody, and no more than a band just about to go on tour. I heard Delilah Bond's mum online recently just saying the cost of just sorting a hoodie used to be about 10 quid, and now it's more like 20 quid to produce it. So you've got to make a profit, you've got to pass that cost on to your fans, which they're going to be skinned. You're going to be
exactly,
they're going to get a gig as well. How has the cost of living affected you just before you go out on this big tour?
Me personally, I work as well alongside the band, and as do the other members of the band now. So like once COVID stopped and we stopped Patreon and stuff like that, we've taken on work alongside the band. So it's a concern. I mean, it definitely will affect me personally, but in terms of it passing on costs, I don't know on the merch front. To be honest, I've not. I don't know that it'll be drastically different prices at this point in time. That might change in the future. I don't know, but I mean, there's like Brexit before that affected the band massively. Like I think there's a 20 quid postage charge for anything going outside the UK to Europe. So where we were building outside in Europe and I'm doing direct sales from the website, it's that's not a positive situation. But we roll with whatever things are presented to us, and it's the same for every band out there. And just sort of,
I think people are like quite generous with the time, but particularly Slow Readers fans. When I just know how passionate they are, and they'll buy every version of every kind of like new release that you bring out. They're just amazingly passionate fans about and want this merch, don't they? So I can't imagine it affecting you too much. I'm just thinking of like the cost of everything, and because like even I was speaking to a friend of mine recently when I were having my Tramlines gig at Frog and Parrot, and he's a tour manager for a band, Sophie and the Giants and that kind of stuff, and he goes out. And I was just asking him what's it like to get around Europe these days as a band, and he said a lot of the red tape's been sorted out, but there's still a lot of annoying little things that are just like putting bands off going into Europe again. Because I know you had yours cancelled, didn't you? A few of the European dates and that kind of stuff, and it's been difficult for you guys to get back out there where you were doing really well. How are you finding that kind of?
We will be back. We'll be back out there next year. It might not be as extensive as it has been in the past, purely because we've got work and things like that. But we will be back in Europe next year. And I mean, when we toured last time, there was still, as you were coming in and out of the EU without boring everybody to death with detail. There was things called carnets and stuff, and you had to sort of declare how much merch you had and all that kind of stuff. And that might be more extensive now than it was before. But I'm staying blissfully unaware until I'm in the situation.
Fair enough.
Our tour manager Dave just goes, "We've got to stop here now and count out these t-shirts." I don't know.
I don't blame you for being that way, because it's. I'm just interested. I think I'm just one of those very few people that are just interested in the mechanics.
No, we are a business at the end of the day. It's like obviously live was and still is about 80% of our income. So like when you couldn't tour, that's a big deal. So it's like you want it to be as smooth as possible, and for bands to keep going doing what they're doing. It's going to be like, I think I'm worried about how it will affect venues and stuff, all the cost of living stuff. That's the main thing. The power, keeping the lights on and all that kind of stuff. That's probably the biggest concern. But I'm sure it'll all be.
Yes,
Liz will wave the magic wand this week, and we'll be fine.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. So you mentioned like how James picked you as a support band before you go out on tour. How did you pick Clang Stuff? Yeah, how did you?
They're actually on. We played with them when we supported Pixies at Castlefield Bowl. They were on with us there, and we'd heard the music out there, and it's cool stuff, but sort of bit radio-y. Interesting band. So I think I might. They were one of the bands that have been put forward by our management as well. So we thought it would be a good fit for us. Looking forward to spending more time with them and having a good time on the road.
And of course, like, you know, you've just had quite a few gigs with Pixies recently. Just talk us through, like, you know, like being quite. I've lived in Manchester nearly 4 years now, and you know, it's a legendary name, not just in Manchester, all over the country, but you know, even more so here. Even when they did a little gig at Band on the Wall recently and that kind of stuff, that it was such a mad thing to happen in a small little venue like a band like that, you know, just like giving something back to the Manchester community. What was your relationship with the band like while you were out on tour with them? And
Yeah, I got a chance to speak to Francis and Joey, the guitarist at Castlefield. The guitarist first that we spoke to at Castlefield, and then I spoke to Francis on the last date we did with them in Bingley at Bingley Festival. We do kind of respectfully keep your distance, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those. But they're a, you know, huge band in the sort of like musical sort of history, like really significant band, influenced Nirvana. Bowie was a fan of them, so you're just like, whoa, you know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we watched them from the side of the stage at Castlefield, and they don't have a set list, and they just go from one track to the next, and like you can see Francis go to a mic at the back of the stage and go, we're playing this one next, kind of thing, and that all goes into the rest of the band's ears, which is pretty cool. And I think that was an interesting thing to see, because we've varied our set throughout the tour before, but it's usually been set A, set B, set C sort of thing. Whereas they're sort of more freeform and maybe responding to the crowd, what they're buzzing off, kind of thing. So that was an interesting thing to see. But like, yeah, great, incredible, like sound just like they do on record, like live.
Does it just go on a vibe? It just goes on a vibe.
I guess so. I don't know. Like, but
would you risk it? Would you risk doing that for a gig, just to try?
We probably need to be on it a bit more full time than we are at the moment, just to have all the repertoire available to us, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it'd be great to do stuff like that in the future. You have lots of grand ambitions for, you know, I'd love to do more of a show visually and involve other musicians like strings and things like that at other times. But these are sort of background plans for further down the line. But all requires time and money and all that.
Yes.
You know.
I get it. Yeah. And this big tour's happening. I'm just looking at the poster now. I love the design of the new lettering that you've done, Aaron, by the way.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thank you.
Proper, right, nice and refreshing. It just feels proper, fresh and cool, that the new branding you've done, mate, there. So just looking, you know, all these venues that you've got coming up. You start in Sheffield, and of course, I can remember seeing you years ago playing with October Drift in the smaller room, and you know, what's your relationship with? In fact, we'll go through the cities that you're playing and just talk a little bit.
All right, okay, I'll do my best. Sheffield, Sheffield. Sheffield's been great to us over the years. We played the Crystal Stage tram lines, Fringe, a fair few times. And we built up a following in that city. It was probably our biggest city outside of Manchester. It might have even at one point been more of a following in Sheffield than Manchester, actually. So that was really good. So when we have shows, people go readers, and that's where that was born. It was but like at Crystal Stage I'm not sure who did it at first, but yeah, it sort of snowballed, and it's now become like something that people do when we go on stage and stuff, which is really nice. But yeah, it's been a great city for us. You know, they obviously love the music there, and led me on.
Good work, Sheffield, down there. Good on you. Well, you know, the venues, you know, a lot of people are talking about the venue. We on this podcast and within our link tree, there's a vote to sign for the petition to try and save the Leadenhall, because we can't have that one go, can we? We can't. It just can't.
No, absolutely not. No. I don't know what the script is with whether the new owners would keep it as because there's some new owners in the wings, as I understand it, whether they'd keep it as a venue or what. But yeah, it needs to stay. You know, I saw Pulp were there recently, or was it just Jarvis? I'm not sure. Like,
Richard Harley were playing for it. Did a week, and Jarvis were there with them, and all
fair play. It's a big one on the tour circuit. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it can't go.
And what a place to start the tour, mate.
I know, yeah.
Sunny Sheffield, straight off.
Should be vibey.
Where we got next then? So then then 10th, Paisley, the Spree after that.
I've never played Paisley before, so I don't know what to expect. I think we're in like a thing called a Spiegel tent, which is like a big teepee kind of thing. We've played one of those in Europe before, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So it'll be interesting in terms of its environment kind of thing. So and we played Scotland, like Glasgow and Edinburgh and Inverness and stuff.
Oh, it's Paisley in Scotland.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Nice one.
At least I hope so. Having said that, yeah.
Right. Well, there's going to be a link to this tour within the description anyway, so you can just click on Paisley and you'll see all the addresses. It's too much to be able to remember everything, mate.
I'm pretty sure it's Scotland.
Yeah, fair enough. And then after that, Liverpool. Tell us about what your relationship is with Liverpool performances and crowds.
Yeah, good. It's good. We played there. Played there with James. We played we played on the concourse when James did an arena show with charlatans in support. Like, so was like, we can't get you on the main stage, but we can get you on the forecourt kind of thing, like the bit where people go around. Like, fine. So we had a little stage there that was really memorable, and then we played the Arts Club there. This will be our first time at the Academy. It's probably our biggest venue we've played in Liverpool, actually. So should be an interesting one. But yes, top city. Football allegiances aside,
it's fair enough. Yeah, I was a big Man U fan, and you had a good result against them the other day, didn't you, mate? Do you feel like Man U are on the turn, by the way, now?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I was a bit doomy after the first two games. Obviously, it seemed a bit terrible, but yeah, with this, obviously the squad's changed a fair bit now, and Ronaldo seems to be settled and everything. So, I mean, he'll be there for the rest of the season at least, I would have thought. And I think him being played as a sort of impact substitution is probably the best thing for him. And if he's happy with that, I'm not going to be mad about it. Then great.
And of course, Sam Fender's hometown, Newcastle. You paying as well? How do you?
Yeah. We played there with Pixies recently. So that should be. Hopefully, there'll be a few people that saw us after the Pixies show there as well. We've had a good few gigs there. I think there was one called Think Tank or something like that it was called. I can't remember the name of it now. But we've played Sage Gateshead as well, which is just over the river. So yeah, this is a new venue for us as well, the student union. So yeah, that should be a good show. Well, hopefully Sam, after I've been so kind about it, maybe Sam will turn up.
There we go. And obviously you've got Hull, Chester, Stoke, Norwich, Oxford, and Brighton. You're on the way out there again, mate. So just that. I'll put the link to the slowreadersclub.co.uk.
Nice one, yeah.
Link in the description to this. And so is all the band excited about getting back out again then now, or is there still a few anxieties about about the whole?
No, we're all excited. Yeah, we've changed up the set quite a bit, so there's probably a little bit of nervousness about that. But
okay.
Yeah, because we had two records out in 2020. Not everything is had an airing. Do you know what I mean? So, there's probably less singles in this set, and a few. I wouldn't call them deeper cuts necessarily, but a few more album tracks. And but I'm happy with what we've got together. I'm excited to play it. So, people can expect some different stuff than they'd normally hear.
Sure. So we've got the tour covered. Check. You've got an album coming out next year. We'll find out more about that next year and probably have another chat about then anyway about it all.
Yeah, that's what
and then there's got to be another big Manchester gig being announced at some point that I know you can't tell, won't be able to even nod or refer to, but just as a Slow Readers fan, you know, every few years you've always announced these big Manchester gigs and the Apollo.
Yeah, we haven't played Manchester as a big headline show since the end of 2019. We did two Ritz shows. You'd think there'd be another on the horizon, wouldn't you?
We'll leave it there, mate. We'll leave it there. So, yeah, appreciate you joining us today for another chat with us down at RGM, mate. Is there anything else that you would just want to share with the Slow Readers fans just before we let you get on and enjoy the rest of your day?
If when we do play Manchester, it'll be next year. But but we'll have news on that in the future, in the nearish future.
Yeah, man. Nice
one. Thanks for all. Thanks for your support at Right Good Magazine and all the fans that have supported us over the years. Looking forward to seeing you on tour.
It's what it's all about, mate. Really appreciate your time. Have a nice day, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, Carl. Thank you. You too.